Tinfoil hat. Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Good morning, Swan, and welcome to Tinfoil Hat. You know I am. You know I'm here to do. I'm here too.
Rock!
There we go. Join me as always, Xavier Guerrero and Jay Nice, Johnny Woodard.
Hey,
How
dude.
are you guys? Things are great in the world, huh? Things are going good.
They're rocking.
They are rocking, and
Good show today.
Good show today. A lot of fun. I'm sure you're going to be very excited with my interview skills. That should be a hot topic in the chat boards. So let's get into that. A lot of stuff going on. I'm going to keep it short today. If you want to see our premium content, we all have wonderful premium content. It's on Rockfin, ROKFIN.com. Go check it out. We're very excited about that. I have 5 shows of my own. Plus, We Don't Smoke the Same. I have Zero, Conspiracy Social Club, Tinfoil Hat Premium, the greatest of all time sports talk if that ever happens again, and Broken Sim, which word on the street is, Johnny,
Yeah, it's doing well.
people are flocking to
It's doing well.
on Rock. Flocking to
8,000. 8,300 followers. Yeah.
8,300, bro.
And it was like 7,800 on Monday when we recorded.
Well, you know, if you don't know what Broken Sim is, that's a show where Johnny and I just basically break down the world, my world, and then we get into the craziest stories of the week. So I always say thank you, Johnny, for letting me be on your show. You are a kind host.
Yeah, it gets funnier every time you say it, too.
Speaking of Robin knowing karate, I'm your Robin with Krav Maga.
Was that on? I think that was before we started recording.
they don't
We were talking
even
about
know.
Burt Ward apparently thinking that he could beat Bruce Lee's ass and then just pissing his pants when they met each other in public.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And which is weird because Bruce Lee was tiny. So 2 tiny dudes.
Yeah, 2 tiny little dudes, yeah.
That's
But
like-
if you watch, there are these videos of Burt Ward in his dumb gay outfit, like karate chopping boards and stuff like that, like doing judo demonstrations, taking people down. It's really dumb.
And they were like banging chicks left and right.
Really?
Like,
Burt
how
Ward-
many chicks do you think try to get Batman when realized they couldn't? They just settled for Robin.
He's just kind of like one of those sharks.
He just let him pick.
Those fish that kind of follows the shark around and gets the scraps. You know, that was Burt Ward. Thing.
Yeah. Oh, is that called a barnacle?
No, a barnacle is one of those things that like sticks to a ship.
At that point, I'm not mad if I'm Robin
Yeah.
at all.
Right? It's kind of like when Chris D'Elia went on the road and then he had his buddy that looked just like him.
Did he really? Like a body double of Chris
Dude,
D'Elia?
I called him Chris D'Elia too.
I bet he cleaned up.
Oh, I'm sure, dude. You looked exactly like him. Got on stage. Yeah, so that's all that. That's crazy. Guys, we have some live shows coming that we're super excited about. First of all, I will be in Alaska. What is it, July 16th and
16th,
17th?
yes.
I still know where the 17th show is, but they're going to put it together. So you come see me live in Alaska. I'll be at Kill Coots Charlie. What's it called? Charlie. What's it called?
Coots.
Kill Coots Charlie, I believe it's called. Or what's it called? Let's see.
That thing just says Coots.
Coots in Anchorage, bro. Coots in Anchorage, yeah. Oh, there it is. Kill Coots Charlie. I knew it was that name. Kill Coots Charlie. It's a wonderful bar. And Alaska is a very interesting state because it's very libertarian. But like during the COVID thing, they got really serious, but I guess they're not now.
Oh, did they get super strict there?
serious? But now I looked and Tino Sanchez sent me this meme that broke down like who's stopped all vaccine passports, and Alaska's one of them. You
good.
don't have to have a vaccine passport. So I'll be out there. Then on July 24th, we're doing a live Tinfoil Hat Comedy Night live at the world famous American Comedy Club in San Diego. That is a Saturday 4:00 show. So come down, hang out, get weird. And then finally at the end of the week, and I have to get these flyers done, we're going to be in Dallas at Hyenas which Dallas? I think we're doing the actual Dallas one this time. Usually we're at Fort Worth, but now we're doing the actual Dallas one. We're doing 2 shows. It's a Friday show. We're doing stand up, and then the second show will be Swarm Tank, where you can come and pitch your shows to us. So that's gonna be a great night too. And where else? We got other shows, but that's another month. What else do we got? Anything
Got
interesting?
T-shirts. They rocking.
We got T-shirts on fire.
Coming. Let's go.
Fire. I got 2 more coming out too. We right now we got Shapeshifting Jesus. We have the baseball T-shirt. Then we're about to have a Breakfast the Chicken Snake God T-shirt, and then I'm going to have Conspiracy Smoke Show, and that should be up very soon.
Ooh, I'm excited
Go
for
to
that.
tinfoilhattT-shirts.com. Guys, if you want to see any of my shows, and I have a lot of shows. Obviously, I have Tinfoil Hat, I have Broken Sim, I have Punch Drunk, I have Cash Daddies, and I have the Union of the Unwanted. All those shows that are for free, you can watch them for free on samtripoli.com. You don't have to worry about, am I getting shadow banned here or there? Go to samtripoli.com. You can watch them all. On the 29th, I'm about to release a brand new 24-hour radio station of every one of my shows. And so you could go in there, let's say you want to listen to Tinfoil Hat, and you just want to play it in the background. You could totally play it. It will play for you, and it will just go through all these shows. I'm going to make a station for each one of my podcasts. Then I'm going to get real crazy, and I want to make it random. So one moment you're listening to Tinfoil Hat, next one you're listening to Broken Sim, next one you're listening to Cash Daddies. Mix it up.
It's like Pandora.
Yes.
Pandora, let's do it.
And so word on the street is a couple things are going on. Some people have started a new Discord for Tinfoil Hat, a second, or I think the third one now. And now there's
Third one? Really? They've been knocking them. It's like whack-a-mole, huh? They just, every time they pop up, they take
dude,
them.
100%.
So stupid.
And then there's these real scumbags out there that started a YouTube.
Animals.
I mean, it's just like, for the love of God, don't report them, but for the love of God,
Yeah, do not report them.
let them go. I mean, but Jesus.
Tinfoil Hat Unofficial, I think it's called on YouTube.
Just
yeah.
leave our ads in, whoever you may be, wherever you may be. Just leave our ads in, please.
They have great graphics on their YouTube page. I will say that.
Let me see. Can I see it real quick? Let me see these graphics before
Can't even find
if I
it.
find out who you are.
There it is.
I find out who you are, man. I'm gonna do a lot of this to your
Look
face.
at that Tinfoil Hat Unofficial. Wow.
Oh my
Dude,
God.
but don't you feel like an Instagram model that has like a fake page?
I do feel like
Like,
I
I feel-
got big
I
tits.
guess.
Well, no, it would be if you had a fake page, but you couldn't even get on Instagram because you were banned from Instagram. Then it would be like that.
Yeah, what if I was a hot chick that was banned for being too hot?
And
That's
then
how I
somebody-
feel
yeah.
like Tinfoil Hat is, by the way.
Yeah, we're too hot.
Too hot for TV. But then the last thing is, I'm actually going to have my own Discord on Tinfoil Hat. We're working on it this week. So you'll never have to worry about ever getting nuked anywhere. It will all be right there, operating the same way as Discord. It will just be a Tinfoil Hat private Discord. So
Cool.
not private, but just personalized for us. And we don't have to worry about if the tech lords at Discord like or don't like what we're talking about.
I think we're going to do a mailing list too, so get ready for that.
Oh, yeah, we get a mailing list. That's going to be on samtripoli.com as well. And guess what else I'm putting on there? And this may be opening the floodgates, brother. But I'm going to put on an actual thing where you could submit to be on the show.
Oh,
That's a good idea.
Shit.
Submit to be on the show. Yeah. You got to list who you are, your credentials, a website of some. And listen, dude, the human vibration was just somebody with a Twitter that I said, come on my show. And it turned out to be a wonderful conversation, even though it drove some people crazy. But, so I'll give anybody a shot if you're in. I take interesting over popular any day on this show. And that's always been the show. Interesting over popular. So all you got to do is pitch me on what you want to talk about. And I need 8 solid talking points, not like 6 points. That's actually 1 point that you spread out over 6 points. Real talking points. And if it's interesting, we'll have you on the show. And that's not just Tinfoil Hat, Cash Daddies, any Broken. We'll even do Broken Sim. I ain't afraid.
Or any crazy experience. Like if you were in a cult, shoot it.
Yeah, we want to hear about being in a cult.
Okay.
Yeah,
Crazy stuff.
I got a few that I can send your way then, because I've had some pretty interesting submissions.
Well, how about some let's get into some mysteries too. I want to start doing mysteries.
Yeah, and if you want to have your identity protected, and we can change your voice, we can do that.
Call
too.
you Mr. Poo Poo Pee Poo.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, welcome to the show, Mister Poo Poo People.
Have you witnessed anything that is?
I mean, you already have to wear a mask. You can wear a mask, the one you wear every day.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
I'll change your voice.
That's true.
Problem solved.
So that's our stories, guys. That's the story. Fun times. This is a great show. It's with the guys from the world's Dangerous World podcast. And it's about royal bloodlines. We get into a lot of fun conversations about that. And then at the end, we play an inspirational video. And I hope you guys stay and you stay and listen to it because we're all going through some stuff in these crazy times, and it's very important to protect your loosh. So I hope you listen to it, and I hope you enjoy the show. And I love you guys very much, and enjoy.
Drink from the fountain of
Okay, let's get into it, man. Interesting conversation today. These gentlemen have a podcast called The Dangerous World Podcast. Please welcome to the show, Ryan Dean and Brandon Peacock. How are you guys?
Good, man. Really honored to have you on. Thank you for the opportunity, guys. XG, Johnny, Sam, excited to talk.
Look at you, professional. I love it.
Thank
you
sir.
guys. For those who may not be familiar with your podcast, can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely, man. So we started this, kind of ironically back when COVID was just being planned out and took out a lot of the work for a lot of people back in March of 2020. And it just ended up working out really well. You know, a lot of people were unfortunately locked up in their homes and they just needed to listen to stuff. And, we had some things that were kind of falling in line with the whole conspiratorial ideas that were being floated around. And man, it was just it just kind of I don't want to say took off, but we have gotten to meet some really cool people. And what we do is I am very much all about the conspiracies, all about, we're being lied to on a daily basis, if not like hourly, minutely basis. And then my co-host, Brandon here, falls much more in line with the mainstream media narrative. He pisses a lot of our listeners off, but I feel like it's a fun idea to almost debate what's real. It's a lot like what you do with your conspiracy social club, where you beat Brian Callen in essentially every debate that you guys have. So, I mean, it's fun. I love doing it. Brandon has a very interesting knowledge base. Talk about like the stuff dude, because it's really interesting.
I know Brandon. He was the first atheist to appear on my spiritual podcast, and I'm really thankful they did it, and I enjoyed it, and I'm open minded to it, and I believe whatever makes you a better person. You can believe whatever you want to believe. That's my whole thing, and. But so you guys have you both have a different vibe. Is that what you're telling me? I see the American flag. I don't know why I think Jesus and the crosses and guns. And then obviously Brandon is a fucking a soulless atheist fucking scumbag. No, I'm kidding, dude. No, I love you, dude. I love you, bro. I wouldn't have you back if I didn't like you. So is that basically the relationship there?
Yeah, you could tell from the grass squares hanging on my walls that I'm a proud member of the Green Party, all that stuff. No, I'm the liberal. I'm the one who finds myself supporting like globalist policies on a more regular basis. And I find myself defending people like the great and powerful Bill Gates against people like my cousin Ryan. So it really is.
Hear him, dude.
You support Bill Gates still?
Okay, so if you guys tune into the show, you'll be able to see how I'm not thinking that people like Bill Gates are the greatest. I just think that they are attacked on wrong bases. And even though I identify completely differently politically, ideologically, in a whole bunch of ways, I still find that my side is worried about the same groups of people that the conspiracy theory world often makes up claims about, I would say. So we have a push. I mean, I have some Marxist blood in my genes too. We have a push to make against the bourgeoisie for the benefit of the proletariat. But how do we go about doing that? That's some of the things that Ryan and I talk about on the podcast.
I love it, and I think that's important to have both sides. That's how both sides of the argument. That's how the news used to be, and then Reagan came and fucked that. and by getting rid of, opposing views on news. So now they're able to create this echo chamber type thing. And that is what I love about Conspiracy Social Club is that, we do have these conversations, and he does take giant L's constantly. And that's, but that's the fun of it. I mean, there will be a day where he will come to my side, and I wonder what the energy of the show is going to be. And that's okay. So that's okay. It's just very interesting because I feel like, and this goes on both sides, right? This goes on both sides that like, if you like just hunker down and anchor into a position and support something, regardless of the data that comes out, you're just as bad as the other side that you demonize for doing that. And, a great example is and I'm going to lose everybody on this because I know my crowd, but it's like, I have a rule. Keep the government out of my body. Like, and it's a hard rule. And it's even for things that whether you like it or not. Okay? And that is, I don't want the people to have to get the jab, and I don't want the government telling women what to do with their bodies. And I know religious people hate that shit, but you know what? That's what we do with the law. Is like there's a reason why, and I hate pedophiles, but you have to apply the law to their cases. You can't just throw out the law because you don't like these people. And I think I would love to have public burnings of pedophiles if we actually knew that the evidence was there that they did it. Public burn these motherfuckers. I have no problems with that. But you have to have a rule of law. And that law is these people are due rights. And because once you throw the rules out for people you don't like, it eventually will creep in to rules for people you like. And that's when everyone start going nuts. And that's when it's too late. Guys, I want to tell you about our good friends at Blue Chew. That's right. High five, Blue Chew. Yeah, dude.
America.
We love American boners, man. Hard, rock hard, veiny boners.
I don't like how you're just staring me right in the eye while you're talking about rock hard.
Johnny, are you in or out? If you're in, you make eye contact with me after you take your Blue Chew.
You're the top.
You know what we like to do on this show? We like to do a boner chicken, right? We all take a Blue Chew, and then we see who gets the weirdest boner at the weirdest moment. And it's all brought to you by Blue Chew. That's right. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a chewable tablet at a fraction of the cost, okay? Anytime, all the time, when the opportunity arises, Blue Chew comes. It's like Batman. Throw up the bat signal, bam, you got bat boners all over the place, okay? The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, bang, pow, pang, I want to, dude, sometimes I want to interview that guy.
Yeah.
There's the face of Blue Chew.
Sure,
Like, dude, how's your boners, bro? Magically. Okay, you go to bluechew.com, you consult one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, bang, you get your prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting lines. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door in a discreet package, okay? It's just that simple. So here's what we want you to do, man. All right? If you could benefit from a little extra help when it comes time to perform, Blue Chew can help. And we got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free with the use of promo code TINFOIL at checkout. Just $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code TINFOIL for more detail and more safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the show.
Yeah. Dude, it's scary. Like when Alex Jones got banned, everyone was all excited, and you can think what you want of Alex Jones. But when they censor someone like that, even Bill Maher is starting to kind of, not side with Alex Jones, but he's getting on that same level where it's like, dude, the far left is losing their brains. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying Brandon is losing his mind because I consider him to be more center left, right? If he was far left, if he believed in 1,000 different genders and supported Laurel Hubbard, powerlifting in the Olympics, it might be a more difficult conversation that we can have. But I think anytime you take the farthest right and the farthest left, it's just an irrational conversation. It's impossible to have a dialogue with people like this. I was driving around yesterday and I was at a grocery store and someone randomly talked shit about the Blue Lives Matter sticker that I have on the back of my truck, saying that I was racist and saying just that, Blue Lives Matter was created to go against Black Lives Matter. And Blue Lives Matter was around before Black Lives Matter. They just changed the name, right? That flag has been around for a little while. I was trying to have a conversation with the dude, but of course, he just wanted to call me a racist and then close his car door and didn't want to talk. But it's just an interesting little dynamic that we have here in the U.S., man. A lot of people want to fight. Everyone wants to be right. No one wants to have dialogue. And I think that that's what we try and do here is just kind of paint the picture. Like, even though you might think one way, I might think a different way, it's kind of cool that we can just try and get what's best for the country and, by a stretch, the world as well. So, I mean, we'll just see what happens, dude. I'm terrified about what's going to go on with these fucking door-to-door
well, we can get into that because I think that's a lot of loose stealing going on as well.
Seems like it's not going to go well.
It's a lot of that. Brendan, do you want to basically make any comments on us calling you a soulless sucker?
No, I'm not saying that. But
no, I'm only kidding.
No,
come on.
No,
this is a joke.
All that I do want to say is that there is a place for narrow-mindedness amongst ideologues, and it sucks that so often that narrow-mindedness in one's own beliefs, especially political, they come out in like day-to-day interactions, like a traffic stop, like just like whatever Ryan was just talking about. There is a place for people who are narrow-minded and who are not supposed to be changing their minds in a debate. It just happens to be that the mainstream media doesn't do a good job of really representing both sides like they should, to make sure that we're not brandishing swords at each other in the middle of the street. We're doing it in the proper places, preferably not the Capitol building, right? Preferably not with a riot on
the FBI.
So
that's so cute. That's so cute.
Yeah.
So hold on. Do you think that was a real thing? What happened on January 6th? That was a real insurgence of chaos?
I mean, I trust the fact that they were saying that group was saying that they wanted to do that thing.
What group?
On that day?
What group?
And I mean, what does the recent news say about a study of social media profiles for people who are part of the groups that the mainstream media say did the January 6th riot? They're mentioning hashtag storm the Capitol like a whole bunch of times leading up to it, right?
So cute.
As far as I see.
So what I want to talk to you about real quick is that I watched Summer of Soul last night. Has anyone seen Summer of Soul? Now,
dude, I thought you were going into an ad right there. My bad. Yeah, go for it.
No, but this is very important. So I'm watching Summer of Soul last night, and the music part is amazing. What is being just pushed in constantly is this programming stuff going on. But one of the most shocking parts of this movie, and I mean shocking, and if you really know the story, is Jesse Jackson is on stage talking about carrying on the dream of Martin Luther King. When it has come out in documents, it has been basically admitted to that he's the one who basically dragging Martin Luther King to that hotel, and him and the other reverend openly admitted they stepped to the side so that the government could get a clean shot. And this guy's on stage talking to people about love and joy. So the point of that little thing is the notion that the internet would say, we're going to storm the castle is that's like Peyton Manning going, we're going to throw the ball long.
Yeah.
Let's play.
COINTELPRO.
The ball is going to the middle. Go their defense. Like, it makes no sense.
But that would be true if there wasn't a thing called a huddle before, where the group gets together and does say, hey, I'm trying to go down long. And what I'm saying is those hashtags storm the Capitol.
How do you know the huddle happens?
What's that?
How do you know the huddle happens?
Well, in your analogy of football,
right,
that's what the huddle
you're
is.
You're saying there has to be a huddle with this group. You're saying there's a huddle.
I'm saying
not a literal huddle, but a meeting of the minds.
Yeah.
Well, a discussion forum like hashtagging storm the Capitol would be my idea.
And it is of your
a
belief that none of those hashtags could be done by the FBI?
No. No. It is not my belief that none of those could be done by the FBI.
So there was one thing too.
So
I
you
wanna
do believe
jump in
it could be?
real
That was a
quick.
double negative, right? He did a double.
Yeah.
It's not my belief that it cannot be done by the FBI.
Well, no, because there's an important differentiation. That's if I say yes to that, that means that I'm claiming that literally none of those.
No, that's not what you're
tweets were
claiming,
done.
because the question was some of them could be done by the FBI. I did not say all of them. I said some of them.
Yeah. Yes,
This
I
is us
believe that
debating
some of them.
spirituality on my podcast too, by the way.
The answer is, it's just to be clear, because I'm on my side to be clear about what my side is. Yes, I think that some of those could be FBI tweets.
Okay, cool. So
Well, yeah, there was that. Remember Blackout Tuesday? That hashtag Blackout Tuesday.
Yeah.
that was a CIA operation or the NSA. Whether it was the CIA or the NSA, it was some sort of operation where they were posting these blacked out squares, which may or may not resemble the black cube, right?
Yeah,
but they were
there we
doing this
go.
to distract. They were doing that to distract from the actual Black Lives Matter posts. And for the record, I am totally against Black Lives Matter. But whoever it was, whatever security agency was carrying out this Blackout Tuesday, they were posting those, and they were hashtagging BLM or Blackout Tuesday. That was actually kind of like to divert from what Black Lives Matter was actually trying to carry out.
So,
You know
so what
I mean?
happened with that movement was everyone was telling everybody to put hashtag Black Lives Matter, because before that, everybody was posting how violent the cops were.
Yeah.
So a way to take that away, you just
Diffuse
tell
that.
everybody to fucking type in Black Lives Matter. So it was a way of just showing people like, hey,
and also Hillary was testifying that day, or
Yeah.
her case was
Yes.
whether she should, and all the blue checkmark idiots.
Which I don't. How much of you do you believe that you were told about that Hillary trial? Because we've been told so much shit about what happened, what's going to happen. And
Yeah.
none of that came to pass
Like,
that we know.
yeah.
all these trials, we're
But
just laying.
I think what Q represented, and I said it before, I said it in the middle of the whole thing, was that it was like the elites letting us know exactly what they're doing. And then because they were going to
Yeah.
destroy everything. But listen, and for us to feel like powerless because nothing came out of it. And you know what
Yeah.
the Q army did was the only thing you can do, which is pull your energy, your money, your attention out of this system. And you're seeing it happen right now with the two parties crashing. Dude, CNN, Fox News crash. I'm sure these people are going to slowly make their way back because it gets their nipples hard to watch Fox News, right? Because that's fair and balanced. Get the fuck out of here. Turn it all off. Turn it all off. Turn it all off, man. But that's why I will defend the people who believed in Q, because
Well, dude, I don't know if you've seen there's a recent interview out in the podcast world about the guy that runs the fact checking agency for Facebook and for Instagram and all the the affiliate companies with Facebook. He's sort of debating these people. Jack Posobiec is part of the debate, and Jack Posobiec is sitting there like showing him proof that he censored wrongfully censored Jack Posobiec, and they're going out and he's trying to do this backpedaling. It's incredible the gymnastics that this dude's doing, and they're sitting there and they're like, okay, how much money do you take from this what the security administration or the whatever the security agencies have called a mouthpiece for the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party? And he's like, well, we don't take any. And they pull up how much money he's actually taken from them. They say, how much of your staff has donated to the DNC? He says, oh, that's easy, 0. And then someone else chimes in. It's like, no, it's actually 100%. Every single one of your people, including, and they pull up names and they're like, this guy donated $4,000 to Hillary's campaign in 2016. This guy donated X amount of dollars to Barack Obama's 2008 campaign. And it's very interesting that you have this dynamic of like the idea of the rhino, the Republican in name only, the fake Republicans.
For
You don't
sure.
see that on the Democrat side. You don't see a Republican acting like a Democrat. You only see Democrats acting like Republicans. It's the same way that you only see like male athletes turning trans and going to the female athletes. You're never going to see a female trans go and compete in the
wasn't there
men's
a bunch
leagues, right?
of Republicans who turned on the party? Like they
You
basically
mean the Tea Party movement?
not the Tea Party movement, but basically when Trump was trying to against this this election fraud.
The Lincoln Project, those guys, right?
Didn't a bunch of Republicans kind of side with the Democrats at that point? And I know that's Reno, but
So I think just to clarify that bit
was your point,
end,
basically. My apologies, dude. I just reiterated it with a more like fucked up voice. Okay, go on.
No. to clarify, this idea of the rhino, I think Ryan was pointing out, is a real concept and something that he's worried about. I think he switched up two things at the end here. He says that it's more likely that there is a Republican acting like a Democrat instead of a Democrat acting like a Republican. So there was a little bit of a switch up there, but saying that the biggest intruders are infiltrating what I think Ryan thinks as the side of the people, which is the Republicans in this instance.
Yeah, and that has really changed over time because back when I was young, everybody saw the Democrats as for the people.
Do you see either party as for the people?
Now I think if you see either party, you are crazy at this fucking point. And I gotta stop saying the F word. But the reason for me, the Republicans can have a better energy with their base is because they don't have to lie to their base. What their base wants is what the leaders of their party want. Whereas the Democrats, to get any kind of donations from big businesses, have to give lip service to their base, which is we care about people. We want to stop the wars. We want to do all this. And then as soon as they get in, they don't do any of it. And it's kind of like
Black Lives Matter right now.
Well, buying houses in white neighborhoods.
Yeah, sure. Right. But they rear up every 2 to 4 years. It just depends on like what kind of elections are going on. To get to your point, Sam, and then, we'll see where we go from here. But yeah, the Democrat Party seems like they want people to be poor. They want people to need government assistance, and that's the platform that they run on. Where the Republicans, in my opinion, which I don't identify as either one, I consider myself independent, like a classic liberal, like I believe in the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, all those things. But the Republicans seem to want people to be independent. They want a smaller government in theory. Now, when you talk about like Mitch McConnell, the dude does not want a small government because then he's out of a job. There needs to be term limits on these congressmen. I know that's like that's beating a dead horse right there, but it just seems to be that we've really found ourselves in this situation that it's not going to end pretty. It's not going to end quickly. And I just think that we're really in for some interesting days ahead. And man, it's going to get crazy, dude. It's going to get really, really weird.
I think libertarian liberalism is the answer. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's like what you said was old school liberalism, which is like live, love, laugh, and that goes back to almost like, this weird kind of don't tread on me shit. Like that's really what's important is. And, and I talk to people about this all the time. I go, and then we're going to get into what you guys want to talk about. But it's like, it's like, I don't think anybody has a problem with black people saying that there's been institutional racism, because I believe most people, you would be an actual idiot to think that didn't exist. The problem comes is when people in the black community don't want to realize that there's people from all demographics that can come into this world, into a world of shit. And like some are born with 2 strikes against them. And if you don't want, you don't have to be like sympathetic, but if you don't realize that there's a lot of people that have some hardships.
There's no acknowledgement of the existence of class, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying there. And thank you for saying it in a smarter way. It's like you're never going to get anywhere. You're never going to get anywhere. And that's the only way we make change is when we reach across the aisle and go, I understand you have it hard. I have it hard. We have a common enemy. I've said it before on the show. It's like everybody's basically marching against the government in one way or another.
Yeah, and we have more, a black man and a black and a white man from different parts of the country have much more in common, middle class, with each other than they do with the CEO of any company.
100%.
Any of those guys.
100%. BLM marches against these cops shooting unarmed black people. They're marching against the government. Women marching against the government, telling them not to tell them what they can do with their bodies. That's marching against the government. Gun owners marching against the government, taking away their rights to bear arms. Business owners marching against the government to tell them that they can't shut down their businesses for COVID. You're marching against the same freaking people, man. It's all the same, but it's so much easier to punch down in that, punch down going white supremacists, fucking ghetto black people, sluts, fucking, pedophile gay people. It's so much easier to do that than actually go, oh shit, the real problem's up here.
You don't think the Lion community does that?
What?
You don't think the Lion community does that?
With what?
They pushed all the BLM and they're all racist, and now that they got everybody putting up together, that's why in the Lion community, BLM was huge too. And like the Mexican community, because they post videos of black people getting shot.
Which is so funny because
Mexicans getting
Latinos
shot,
are
all
more
that.
like white people than they are black people. And that's nothing against anybody. But they have the same kind of vibe. And like
dude, in
Hollywood,
prisons and stuff, like the most like bitter rivalries are like the Latinos and then the black community in prisons.
Well,
I'm
how about
saying that's a
Asians
very
and
controlled
everybody?
ecosystem, right? It's interesting.
Well, why do you think the Democrats are always up for reform and letting people in? Because once you give them papers, they're full on Democrats for the rest of their life.
But listen. The Latino community is way more conservative than people want to know.
Yeah, but once you give them papers, and you give them citizenship, you kind of have to ride or die for the Democrats.
Well, that was definitely that whole immigration thing was their play to get the Latinos locked in forever for sure. I mean,
you get them locked in forever. Yeah, it's a locked in forever.
I love Mexicans. Okay, except for when they root for Mexico in soccer matches against America.
I completely agree with that.
That
drives me crazy that we can't have a home game against Mexico in the United States anywhere. We have to play in Columbus, Ohio, almost every time we want a home field advantage because that's like the only place in the United States we can get a home field.
And even then, Johnny, that's still 50-50.
Yeah, well, Columbus is a little better just because it's a small venue.
To me. But it's like that's everybody.
We love this country so much. I mean, we left it because it kind of sucks to be there. But
that's not their fault. That's the same people destroying America destroyed Mexico. And dude, I love black people, man. Watching that Summer of Soul, I was like, dude, I get
it was great. That was great.
Great, except for Al Sharpton and all this stuff that's just and like, dude, white people. There's a bunch of sucky ass white people out there. For sure. I totally get it, man.
Most of them, I would say.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's
there's a lot, yeah.
But it always becomes like with this woman I'm having a problem with on Twitter, right? It's like white women are great. It's like the squeaky wheel always is the problem. They always define the group. Yeah. Majority of people all get along. And it's these squeaky wheel opportunists that cause chaos between all of us. And we just all get into these identity politics stuff where we just team up and we want to go to war instead of just letting the assholes go at it.
Especially in LA.
Well, dude, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's the saying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like they're the ones that get the most attention. And like we're going to get into Romania here. Romania, I mean, there's a lot of white people that are very, very unfortunate there. You know what I mean? There's actually a majority of like black, brown, Asian people throughout the world. But we're focused on the U.S. right now for some reason, always. And there is a lot of white people in the U.S., but if you look at the world, there's a lot less white people than other colors. But go ahead, Brandon. Sorry.
I was just going to say, because we're getting into Romania here. I don't know about you guys, but Romania seems like the scariest place in the world to me.
Is that where Dracula's from?
Yeah. Isn't that Transylvania?
Isn't Romania basically Transylvania?
So Romania is split into three areas. Transylvania is one of them, or at least it used to be. I think it has more.
Okay, I'm
more
super excited to have
now.
this discussion. I'm very excited. Go on, Brandon. Sorry.
But there's something about the fact that it is mostly white people and it's so bad that scares me so much. Like there's something foreign. Like my reptile brain just looks at like the plight of Africans and can't quite feel for them and can't quite get into the folklore over there. It's just a little bit too foreign. Same with like Latin America for me personally. But the fact that there's like white people over there that have really gone through the same kinds of pulls back and forth between imperialism from the West and imperialism from the East. In the last 100 years, it's been under capitalist control, then back to communist, then back to capitalist. Like that. Romania is what I think you guys think will happen to America if globalist powers, if the New World Order, if the Illuminati get their way, and their tentacles are extended, man. I don't know if you saw, but just a few months ago.
But you don't think that?
Well, I would say I think there's a whole bunch of commonalities between the people that we're going to rag against in this in what Ryan is going to lay out here.
Okay.
And I will also acknowledge things like the fact that the Romanian mafia has like a huge presence and interplays with the Mexican cartel. I don't know if you guys just saw the video of one of the top leaders of the Maya Riviera mob, which is a Romanian mafia group, but is homegrown in Mexico and has been one of the most successful at building political bridges between political leaders, or building bridges with political leaders in Mexico to protect them from any kind of legal encroachment.
Yeah.
So they're tied in to a certain extent, and it is those squeaky wheels that we actually have to pay attention to. I think that this is. It expresses itself sometimes in bad ways. I mean, we've already had to say on this podcast, I have no problem with black people. I have no problem with Mexicans. I love Mexicans.
Where did we say that? Where did we ever say that? What statement did we say that we didn't like any group?
No. I'm saying we've already had to say in this podcast, I love black people.
Yeah.
And I have nothing wrong with Mexicans. Are you saying that you love
Romanians? Is that what you want to say right now, that you love Romanians?
No. But you can see how in the UK with the Brexit campaign, what UKIP, the United Kingdom Independence Party, is mainly concerned about is breaking off this easy flow of immigrants from places like Romania because of the fact that the mafia is so popular in that country. And again, that's all a result of at least 1,000 years of the West and the East using Romania as their playground and pulling back and forth. And then the people of Romania, if there are any left eventually, right, there's been like a 16% decrease in population since like 1991 from Romania, because most of these people, they don't get jobs in Romania. They go out and get jobs in other places. I think that's what people worried about globalists would worry is going to happen to the United States. And another thing for you guys to hate on Bill Gates about, Romanian is the second most popular language spoken in Microsoft too. So we'll get into how weird it is.
Jesus, Romania. Damn, dude. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, dude, speaking of like the globalists and like all the controversy with Haiti, I mean, that president was just assassinated, right? So, I mean, that's kind of interesting.
That is some crazy shit. And of course, everybody's talking about how they haven't done vaccines in Haiti and they've been shutting down, and they're looking into getting into investigating the Clintons.
Whatever the next guy hops right on, that's who killed him. If he hops right on vaccines, it was the vaccine lobby.
He played ball.
Very interesting, John.
He played ball.
Well, that happened with Tanzania too. Was it Tanzania or the guy that was taking the samples from like the mango and the goat and sending the samples in to see if they were COVID positive, and then he turns up dead too. So yeah, I mean, there's this clear agenda here. But we're about to get into this stuff. So do you guys want to hop into this Romanian stuff? And
I really want to get
elites?
into bloodlines and elite families, and yeah, man, I'm very excited about this because this is what it's all about. So where do you guys want to start?
Well, so, I mean, I think the best place to start would be like the Merovingian bloodline. Brandon knows a little more about this, but the Merovingian bloodline is like, it's got the Windsors, the Pacer family, which I know you did an episode about the Pacers, like these American, what the Pacers were about was like, the ones behind like the Morgan dynasty, the Carnegie dynasty. You got the Bushes, who are, cousins to the Windsors. All kinds of influential people. Ramses II, one of the most supposedly likable pharaohs of Egypt, Alexander the Great, Cleopatra, Julius Caesar, King James. There's all kinds of people in this Merovingian bloodline. Nostradamus is kind of a cool one.
Oh, shit.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
All
dude,
of
there's
them?
a lot. What's that?
So you had Caesar and Alexander II?
Alexander the Great. And then Caesar, Ramses II was the one I think that you might have thought that I said. But yeah, like he was one of the more like likable pharaohs. Supposedly, like it's either him or like Akhenaten that a lot of people debate are the more popular greatest pharaohs of all time type people. But Brandon knows more about these guys. But from what I understood too, a lot of people think that Jesus was part of the Merovingian bloodline too.
Come on, bro. You're blowing minds.
Well, dude, hold on, because the thing here is that Jesus, like, this is kind of like controlled opposition. It's like a psyop for people to say. Brandon mentioned to me earlier before we started talking that Dan Brown, mentioned that Jesus is part of this Merovingian bloodline as well, but he's supposedly really part of the Pisos bloodline. And the Pisos, if you think about it, Pisces, Pisos, Jesus is the Messiah during the era of Pisces. And this is why, right now there's a huge attack on Christians because supposedly the calendar that we are living on is completely off. And we're actually in the age of Aquarius. We did an episode where we talked about, like, you can easily tell which age we're in. It's whatever the sun rises. When you watch the sunrise and you use like a star finding app, you can see the constellation that I believe is directly behind the sun's rising. That's the age that we're truly in, and we're in the age of Aquarius now. So this is why you see the attack on Christians and so on. So yes, Jesus is not part of the Merovingian bloodline, according to my research, and I'm no educated
So you're
person.
saying he's not part of it?
But you will hear constantly that Jesus is part of the Merovingian bloodline.
By the way,
I'm
48 years old, and this is the first time I've heard this. You're like, you'll hear it everywhere. I'm like, I've heard it nowhere. And I'm on a lot of chat boards.
You probably, if you saw like Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code, I think that's one of the ways that like Ian McKellen's character walks through the fact that Jesus's story, which is the real version, he says, is the fact that he's not some half god person. He actually has a kid with Mary, and his bloodline continued and protected through the power ranks of the Merovingian bloodline. Yeah.
Sam will not watch Tom Hanks. Sorry about that.
I used to love to watch Tom Hanks. I can't do it anymore.
Me too.
Yeah, he's out.
Toy Story, dude. That was like my favorite movie. That and Jungle Book when I was a kid.
Not to get derailed, but I will get derailed. But to have all these accusations and never come out and say one word about it is to me just, it's just the surest sign something. And then
His son.
Here's what I've learned. If nothing happens to you, you probably did it.
Yes.
Like in the
Well,
elite.
why'd he move to Greece, where pedophilia is like a disability?
Just think of what happened to all these comedians who got accused of something with no evidence getting clipped. And then Jeffrey Ross, nothing's happened. Not one thing. Not one thing. I mean, it is what it is right there. So, nothing's happened to Tom Hanks. He's just doing stuff, movie after movie after movie after movie, right?
Yeah.
Nothing's happening.
Dude, I know we don't want to derail too much, but since you mentioned Tom Hanks and he was in Toy Story, which I brought up, if you watch The Shining, which is like, it's riddled with all this Apollo 11 fake moon landing sort of symbolism. The carpet in The Shining is the exact same carpet that's in the Toy Story movies, and they have Buzz Lightyear and Buzz Aldrin. So you see the same exact carpet in that hotel in The Shining that you see. It's that hexagonal pattern that's also, modeled after like the moon launching sites and things like that. It's interesting, dude, if you look into all that symbolism. But
here's what they wouldn't let me talk about, and then we're going to get back to Royal Blood. They wouldn't let me. I tried to get it into the Flat Earth debate show, but
Toy Story?
No, the how far is the moon? How far is the sun from the planet Earth?
237 according to that.
93 million miles, right?
No.
93 is the greeting in Aleister Crowley's Thelma, right? Thelema. When you go up and greet another guy in Thelema, you go 93.
Interesting.
Right? I mean, it's crazy, dude.
It's actually 92 and 958,000 miles.
Okay.
Close enough.
Right,
We round up
Yeah,
over
we
here.
round up
Dude. We're rounding up on this side.
We're Rite Aid. We want you to round up and donate that we use as tax write-offs. I didn't know that. So let's get back into this.
wait up.
People are going to lose it on me today. They're like, stay on track, you piece of shit.
Hey, he said Jesus had a kid, though.
Yeah,
This is where conversation is. So it's all good. But no, dude. So getting back to the Merovingians, I don't know, Brandon, jump in here if you have anything else, but these Merovingians, they worship the goddess Diana. So right when you hear Diana, you think of a certain individual, right? But they worship this goddess Diana that's considered to be the goddess of the countryside, the hunters, the crossroads, and most importantly in this situation, the moon. They are Diana's the goddess of the Romans, and then what else was it? The Hellenistic.
Yeah, both Greeks and Romans, since they kind of worship the same god, they were both looking to her for her childbirthing abilities, apparently. And a god of crossroads. That one's a very, very specific kind of deity. I never heard about that one.
That's crazy.
That'd be even weirder if it was God of CrossFit.
Yeah. Well, no. So
That's
supposedly, like
Arnold
crossroads would be like it's a metaphor. It's like your decisions. Like
Yeah.
when you come to a crossroad, you can make these different decisions. But the most important thing here, when you're speaking of Goddess Diana, is the goddess of the moon, right? That represents that feminine energy. The Merovingians also founded the city that we today call Paris, which that's where Princess Diana was sacrificed in a tunnel called Pont de Alma, right? And Pont de Alma roughly translates to the passage to the moon. So we're going from Goddess Diana, which is the goddess of the moon, to Princess Diana, who died in the passage of the moon. And I mean, this is like a serious attempt to harness feminine energy. And remember, she was pregnant when she died, right? So there's this never-ending quest for the feminine power by Queen Elizabeth II. That's this current lizard queen that we have.
For sure, man.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
She's trying to harness this feminine energy, dude. And she goes so far as like she owns all of the dolphins that swim in the UK. And that might sound like some goofy kind of fun little thing, but dolphins in like the esoteric world represent feminine energy. And she also owns the swans that swim in UK waters. And the swans represent like gods of light or like wisdom and purity. So she's trying to go after all the things that she doesn't have. Because I don't know about you, dude, but like when I look at Queen Elizabeth, I don't think purity. I don't think femininity. I don't think anything positive. And she's going as far as trying to own all of these little symbols, living symbols that represent all of these things that she wants so bad. You know what I mean? It's really interesting. And this is not things that I ever learned when I was like kind of looking into these people. But you know, I started really looking into this family when like the whole Harry and Meghan controversy kind of kicked up. You know, Queen Elizabeth was supposedly really, you know, she had some moral problems with letting an American half black woman sort of infiltrate the royal family. It was like this huge publicity stunt, in my opinion. And I think that, you know, you guys might agree here by the end of the conversation. Instead of them, like Meghan being this outsider, Meghan Markle, her and Harry are 17th cousins, dude.
Yeah,
you know,
of
and
course.
I know.
Of course. Of course.
So they're all related.
They're all related. She did shady shit. She was basically, from what I've been told, an escort back in the day. This is all part of the game, dude. And it's
probably
like
MK Ultra. You know what I mean? Like, did you see the video of her, like where she looks like a droid, like a sex bot? She's out there walking around. She has very artificial movements in her face. I don't know if you've seen that.
I mean, I don't know how deep it goes. It could go that deep. That they're all
I don't
bots
either.
and
You know what I mean?
MK
But I think there's
Ultras.
doubles of this woman too. You know what I mean? Like there's whether they're actual like flesh and blood or like silicone doubles. But it's very interesting, like just the idea that they didn't want to just say outright that, yeah, Meghan Markle, she's one of us. You know what I mean? They wanted to portray her as an outsider, and they wanted to sort of show their tolerance. You know, this lily white family that, you know, only marries royalty, and they're like, you know, this lovable dude, this hairy guy, who I think is a clone today, honestly.
Oh, that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
what
dude.
we're talking about.
So you get Harry, who is like everyone's favorite royal, at least over in America, it seems, and you get this mixed chick that is supposedly infiltrating the family, but according to Markle's half brother, Thomas Markle Jr., okay, she actually shares a bloodline with Robert the Bruce, who was the Scottish king. If my dates are right here, between 1306 and 1329. So if she's, a descendant of Robert the Bruce, she's royalty, not only on the English side, but also on the Scottish side. I know that they're all tied in over in the UK, but having a direct lineage to Robert the Bruce is fascinating.
And that, I don't care if you say 17th cousins. Like, how many generations you have to go before Prince Harry and I have a common ancestor? I would tell you, probably forever. It's just the way it is. So, like, when people dismiss Barack Obama's grandpa and George Bush Sr., and they're like, dude, it's only 9 cousins, everyone. It's like, dude, that's only 3 grandmas.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to get into that later too, dude. I mean, that's the thing. There's all these people are freaking related, dude.
Can you say what's the significance of them being related, though? Do you think that, is the suggestion that they selected her because of this, or that she was from birth indoctrinated because into some kind of society, dark society, because she's of that lineage? What are you saying there?
I believe that she was actually selected from birth personally. Okay. I think that they had this planned out because in my opinion, dude, and I'd like to hear Brandon's comments on this too, but I think that these guys are very, very ahead of the time when it comes to, setting up dynasties and carrying out their agenda. And it's to your point, Johnny, like in the episode with Susan, I forget her last name, man. Susan what?
Bradford.
Susan Bradford. I'm sorry. That's the second name. Susan Bradford. I'll remember that. But, where you're saying that there's this alien agenda, this thing, I know that you guys have talked about a Pindar, right? This like albino lizard that controls the realm. And yeah, dude, like that stuff is fun for me to look into. I don't know how real it is, but when you start looking at how things are unfolding here on Earth, it does not make any earthly logical sense. So there has to be some sort of guidance, whether it's like the lower 4th dimension, that's, kind of
what dimension are we in? The 3rd, right?
I believe the 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah. I was getting in an argument with this stupid
You're
ass
still
kid.
on that.
I'm like, dude, it's the 3rd. It's the 5th. I'm like, you're an idiot, kid.
Well, I would like to hear what Johnny thinks, because Johnny is, he's all about computers. I know that he's very talented.
I think you're trying to say you think he's the smart one on the show,
or a nerd dork by being nice.
Yeah, a nice way of saying nerd dork. Yeah.
No, dude. No, it is because, dude, that like Brandon is my like Johnny, XG, and Sam, right? Like he's all 3 of these guys in this show. He does the computers.
He's trying to
he
figure
does the
out
editing.
if that's nice or not. He's like, what does that mean? Let's do the math on that.
I know. He's just sitting there. He's like, I don't know.
Brandon, talk a little bit.
Sounds like he's not getting paid enough.
That's what I'm about to say.
Well, hey, we're not making that much money.
Johnny! That's what happens when you give an intern a mic.
Hey, he did say he's doing mine, yours, and Johnny's job. That means he's got to get paid.
Yeah,
pretty
dude.
penny.
Pretty penny. So
hey, we're not making as much money as you guys over there already. So I guarantee you, your lowest paid intern is making more than I am on the show.
But my question: do you think that Meghan Markle, she was aware of this from birth? Is that what, I mean, or from childhood, or what do you think? Do you think she knows that she's part of this plan and that she's an active participant, or that she was just kind of pulled into this whole thing?
Well, that's a good point, dude, because I don't know. I don't know if she knows she's part of it, because we know, like, we've heard this idea where like these people get indoctrinated into the Illuminati or whatever you want to call it, whatever secret society, and they're promoting an agenda that they know or they don't know about. So that I can't answer directly, dude. In my opinion, I do think that Meghan Markle knows that she is part of this whole thing. You see these pictures of her as a young model or actress or whatever she was pretending to be, standing outside of Buckingham Palace taking like glamour shots, right? And it seems like, that's not a coincidence. Someone out there taking a picture. I've never been to Buckingham Palace. I've never taken a picture outside. So she's taking a picture outside of it, and then she gets to, marry one of the dudes that's coming out of that place. You know what I mean?
that's
So in
interesting.
my opinion, I do think that she knows.
I think they all know, though. I think they all know. Like Obama knows. Like you can't know all these things and not know. Something might slip up on your Twitter or
No,
something.
for sure Obama knows.
Yeah, I think they all know,
I
though.
believe, like, listen, man,
what I'm
if
saying.
any of us had an ounce of royal blood in us, wouldn't that be all we're talking about all the time? Hey, every
Well,
time we hit
that's
on
why we
chick,
don't have
hey,
any.
dude, yeah, I'm part of the, I'm the Dutch of the Duchess the Duke of Scotland, man. You know, like I'd be throwing that'd be my dick game, bro.
It'd be on your bio?
the whole time.
It'd be on your bio, huh?
Yeah, I'm the Duke of blah blah, lady. You want some
Well,
royal action?
have you seen these videos of like there's tons and tons of little snippets on documentaries where people are saying like I am actually the rightful king of England or
Yeah,
whatever,
I've
and they're
seen
just like tossed to
Remember
the
that
side.
guy?
Like,
Yeah,
this
that
is
guy
a-
was great. Yeah, he was really funny.
He has all
Yeah,
convinced.
What do you think that the people at that level, do they care about genes? Do they care about race
Yes.
at all? Do they care about race? Is what I was going. I know they care about genes, but do they care about race? Like, do you think Meghan Markle's race possibly would have excluded her from this in the absence of genes?
In this case, I mean, obviously not. You know what I mean? Because I think, like I was saying, I think that Queen Elizabeth was making it seem like she was morally not willing to take in Meghan Markle to be a royal. Obviously, there's a lot of royals that don't get to, be true royals, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you're saying that, yeah, I don't think that race matters too much to them anymore. Maybe it truly does. Just like how, corporations support Black Lives Matter. They've got black people for all their spokespeople, LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal, all these high profile black people that I don't really think they care about at all. I think that they're just using them as a face to be like
Useful
relatable.
idiots. That's what they're called. Useful idiots.
Exactly.
And they
exactly.
position.
But-
I mean, like, look at Jeb Bush. His wife is Mexican. They have a Mexican, half Mexican kid. And the reason I bring that up is because I remember when I learned that, I'm like, oh, they're gonna march this kid out to run, and he's gonna try to court the Latino community.
Yeah, dude, no, it's fascinating, and I want to get Brandon's idea on.
Brandon, jump
what's going
in
on here, too.
anytime. By the way, you just
Well, I did want to throw one thing
tried
out there,
so hard
since we're
to
talking
say.
about royals and fake identities and things like this. There's this audit going on in Arizona. It's in Maricopa County. Doug Ducey is the governor of Arizona, and Doug Ducey's real name is Doug Roscoe, and his family has mafia ties. So he is not what he seems to be. And I've heard that what's going to happen is that a cartel sympathizer, like Sinaloa cartel, one of these people, because we're right next to Mexico. Tucson specifically is very close to Mexico. So a cartel sympathizer is going to become the next governor and kick out Doug Roscoe, which, you guys know him as Doug Ducey. And he's going to essentially turn Arizona into this almost like California without as much money. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's kind
In
of
what
right.
sense?
The cartel does that. The cartel have kids here in the United States, so that then eventually they'll run their businesses. They'll run for mayor. It's like long-term
Yeah.
thing. Like El Chapo has kids here. They're U.S. citizens that can fucking be presidents at the end of the day if they wanted to. With all the money they got, they just funnel it, and then they got the Mexican vote. It's a long-term game.
No, I
Yeah.
completely agree with that. And that gets down to what it's all about: bloodlines and positioning yourself with power, with family. The Rothschilds are known for it. They created this whole thing, the whole thing about, Hollywood, oh, Jews take care of Jews and all that stuff. Like, that is based off the Rothschilds and how they kept the banking industry in the family. He basically had kids and sent them to you take over this country's banking. You take over this country's banking. You take over this country's banking. And that brings us to Hitler. Okay? Here we are with
Rothschilds.
Hitler, right? And it is pretty much agreed upon. At the least, Hitler was Jewish. At the most, he was a Rothschild. And it leans more towards the Rothschild side because he dies peacefully in Argentina. And that's because what do you mean, Johnny? Are you still doing that?
and
It's debatable.
That guy's laughing too.
Why? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you say that.
I
like
want
we
to hear
know. I
from
don't know.
Brandon, dude, because
Yeah.
Brandon hasn't gotten to jump in. What are your thoughts on Hitler being born from Alois Hitler and Maria Anna Schickelgruber, who was like a maid that was working in one of Alois's mansions?
So you don't got to go even into the conspiracy theory world, I think, to talk about and just verify the fact that bloodlines are to a certain extent important among the world's biggest set of plutocrats, right? You just go to World War I, you've got Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, King George V of Britain, and it was Kaiser Wilhelm II in Germany. They're all cousins. Like fucking Queen Victoria is their grandmother. So they're definitely connected by birth. A whole bunch of the bad people are connected by birth in a whole bunch of places throughout a big amount of time. I would, though, offer the fact that if you just look into those same history books, you'll also find that bloodlines, especially the farther back you go, they don't necessarily mean that those people that are in those bloodlines have the same interests at heart. I mean, most of the worst wars, including World War I, is families fighting within themselves, I would say. So if you're saying that they're all working together and all coordinating this, that's a bit of a stretch. But the way that a whole bunch of elites have been related, that is anything but a coincidence, and it doesn't take a conspiracy theory to say that. They have a selective process that they like to use. It involves incest, and it is based on genealogy. And yeah, to expand on, I think it was Johnny's question earlier, I don't think race plays into that. The leftist critical race theory mind that I have says that race is nothing but a social construct. And I think the conspiracy theory world and people who don't support Black Lives Matter think that the idea of race has been injected by these groups that are tied together by bloodlines to further separate us. I don't see that as an operative concept, but the fact that they're all related, I mean, that's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy at all. And I'll get behind that idea and push against any attempts at nepotism that we see throughout the world. I did it with Trump, and I do it to a certain extent with Biden too. So nepotism, get rid of it. But you don't need shape-shifting lizards to explain all the atrocities that family members have done to the world throughout history.
I understand what you're saying, that, to sit there and be like, these families are doing this and that. I can understand why it would seem like a crazy idea, but you do start to see the same families over and over and over again. And the only reason you don't see the name consistently through life, I mean, the human history, is because they change their name so much. And that's done purposely so you can't follow the lineage. So, I mean, if you just want to start with the Bushes, I mean, their ties to Hitler. And then look at the cabal that basically took over George Bush from the assassination of JFK. I mean, you can even get into George Bush's and the Bush's role in bringing the Nazis to the United States. And then from there, you start to just go down the timeline all the way to today. It is it is not D's and R's. It is not globalists versus nationalists. It has been, in my humble opinion, the Bush cabal that has been connected to the early Nazis, and that the Nazis didn't lose the war. Germany did. And they brought them over here, and with the beginning of the assassination of JFK, which was a sacrifice in my honest opinion, was the installation of this cabal that has completely manipulated our banking system and our military. And they've taken it over and turned us into, they've basically used our military stormtroopers, and they create a banking system, which we now see in real time, buying up everything with fake, phony money.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's interesting because, like, you bring up JFK there, and I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but I heard that the first ever credit card, which is loosely tied to like the mark of the beast, was created in 1950, if I'm not mistaken, and then JFK I believe was sacrificed 13 years later, in 63. So, I mean, that kind of gets interesting right there when you start getting into like the numerology and how all of these things, just this idea of bringing down this mighty empire that is the United States. It's a fascinating thing, dude. But where do we leave off here? I think we got
Brandon wanted to say something. You want to say something?
Brandon.
No. I want you to know, even as someone who will end this podcast disagreeing with you, Ryan, and everybody here that's on this episode, I totally see the steps that the connections that you're making. It is in the nitty and gritty of each particular claim that you laid there, that we can have a number of podcasts discussing, the vastity of any of those claims after that. But it's just in those individual claims that I would break down from believing what you're saying is happening. But that's all I'm here for, is to disagree. So
I love it.
Go ahead,
You're
Ryan.
doing a great job.
Okay.
So let's I want to get into we'll get also into these royal bloodlines about how basically Queen Elizabeth and the royal family brag about being related to the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
And we can get into, listen, I have no problems with Islam, man. I think we've been bombing the fuck out of them, okay? And we've been taking out moderates and putting in radicals and then ramping that stuff up, selling them arms to get crazier and crazier so we can have an excuse to go in there and bomb the shit out of them. I 100% you see it happening with ISIS, Al Qaeda. Brian Callum refuses to look into this, but it's 100% true. We assassinate moderates, we put in crazies, and then so that they ramp up the crazy.
This is the easiest one though. This is baby steps, and he can't. He won't even look into this.
No, he
one,
doesn't want to.
Wow.
He doesn't.
Dude, you gotta Sam, you gotta Clockwork Orange him where you hold his eyes open.
He's
and
got
you just
eye
play
work done. You
film.
He fixed his eyelids.
Yeah, he got his eyelids done. You can't do that. But I mean,
Oh,
it goes.
he did?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
100%, yeah.
And I love him. I love him to death. But we've had people come on and talk about how the Quran that's being followed right now isn't the original Quran. That it was.
Sure.
This is the new Quran, and that fits in to the other religions, where you see a book inserted into the religion that takes the religion in a different way. So, the Bible that everybody reads isn't the full story. They took books out of that were included for very specific reasons. The Talmud is basically what they say, the Wikipedia of holy books, where anybody can go in there and say some crazy, and it has the craziest stuff in there, like the craziest stuff purposely put in there. And then this new Quran, crazy stuff, purposely put in there so that everyone on the outside can go, look at this crazy stuff that they're saying. They're the bad guys. In reality, most people are good people.
Yeah, you can. We actually just did a episode of a little bit ago about the Book of Enoch too, which is a removed book of the Bible, but survives still in Ethiopic tradition, so that the Ethiopian Catholic Church essentially, and with what they say in the Book of Enoch, things about like extraterrestrials who are these giants that roam the earth. They're like 4,000 feet tall, and they're like talking with angels and debating with God about how humans are supposed to be. That's the crazy story. That's the Ethiopic religion. And then look at how we drain the entire world, drains places like Ethiopia, and look at the result of a country that they get to live in right there. So we love to take from the people that people hate, as I see it.
I mean, that's why we're pounding Iraq, Iran, all those places, because it is basically Mesopotamia, in my humble opinion. And
we go after these leaders that don't support central banking too. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what it is. But
we go back real quick to what we were talking about earlier, because I really want to get into is one of the people that the royals basically brag about being related to is Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah, Vlad.
Vlad the Impaler, and I believe Prince Charles lives in his castle.
I don't know if he lives there, but I know that that's his favorite place to go to. That's like, like, so yeah, like getting into your point, Prince Charles, his bloodline goes back to Vlad Dracul, which is his, actual name. And better known as, like you said, Vlad the Impaler. And he's the heir to Vlad the Impaler's bloodline. And Bram Stoker, this is the guy that wrote Dracula based off of Vlad Dracul. And that's interesting, dude. I know Brandon knows a good amount about Bram Stoker and all of his shit. Do you want to break that down real quick, Brandon?
Well, I just think it's interesting to point out that he is a definite and high level confirmed Freemason, and at least had friends with, if not was a part of, another secret society that I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with, the Order of the Golden Dawn, right? Some of the most prominent hermetic practitioners coming out of the early 20th century, late 19th century too. So he's hooked up. And if there's any idea about programming that Ryan and you guys would like to think is going on, I'm sure he's a programmer. He's some piece of that puzzle, right?
Yeah, it's fascinating, dude. And so you got Bram Stoker like writing about all this stuff. So, Charles talked about his bloodline tying back to Transylvania in a 2010 visit, sort of as a joke, right? But he was speaking quite literally because he, like I said, is the heir to this bloodline. And Sam, you guys, like when you talked with Andreas Exertus in this episode about the Illuminati card game and like all the stuff that was going in that he was getting into. You mentioned a lot of cool cards, dude, but there is a card in the card game called Count Dracula. And this is a reference to Charles' bloodline back to the original Dracula, like the original vampire and all this stuff. So I find that pretty interesting that it's even kind of encoded and all that stuff. But according to the Romania Tour Store website, Charles is a great grandson 16 times removed from Vlad the Impaler through the consort of George V and Queen Mary. So, I mean, not even a far stretch to say that this dude is very, very tied in with these vampires. And then I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about like the symbolism, like the meaning of Dracula. So what Dracula actually means is the son of the devil, but Dracul means dragon, right? So the Dracul family members, everyone in Vlad Dracul's family, Vlad the Impaler's family, were members of the Order of the Dragon.
Order of the Dragon.
Yeah, the Order of the Dragon, dude. So, dude, not to mention, man, you mentioned his castle. Did you know, too, that this freaking castle in Romania, Dracula's original castle, was turned into a vaccination site on May 12th?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, dude. The New York Times is quoted saying that the needles at Bran Castle won't be drawing blood. They'll be administering Pfizer BioNTech vaccines. Fascinating.
Here's the card. Here's the Dracula card. Let me read it to you. Dracula plus 10 on any different direct attempt to control the vampires. That's interesting. The count cannot be destroyed unless a magic group or card is used. But if destroyed, he is permanently dead. Nothing can bring him back. No magic artifact linked to the count can ever be lost by him or taken away by any means. But if he dies, the artifact is lost forever. What do you think that means?
Well, there's a vampire card too in that
complicated.
deck.
That's what it means. The game is complicated.
It's a complicated game.
Yeah, that Order of the Dragon is filled with a whole bunch of colorful characters. You also have that Elizabeth Bathory. Who,
oh my God.
Yeah, one of the most prolific female murderers of all time. She's like a noble woman in Romania about 100 years after Vlad Dracul's rule. And she's like accused at a trial of like having 650, especially young girls, peasants, and servants that she tortured, killed, did a whole bunch of nasty shit to. And I think notoriously and allegedly was the one who bathed in the blood of young virgins that she literally like squeezed out their organs to get this blood into a bath. And then she sat in it to get this everlasting life. Sort of a really fucked up, fountain of youth kind of thing. But
adrenochrome.
It
It's a whole nother level.
Crazy what they used to do, man.
Exactly.
And what they used to,
ref-
they still do. I mean, look at this thing. What's going on in Canada right now with all these children, these mass graves being found of Native American children.
Well, dude, there's a really interesting little situation where I think it was Philip who just passed away, unfortunately, right? And then was it Philip that passed away?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that wanted to come back as a virus.
Pictures of him, I was like, gone too soon.
I know. Yeah, probably peacefully too. But and so you got him, and then Queen Elizabeth going and like abducting Aboriginal kids, like throwing kids off of balconies and things like this. This is all alleged, of course, but there's stories of this, and that there's teachers in these schools that turn up missing and stuff like that too. So these two hyper elite people traveling into foreign countries in heavy quotations because they own Canada, but they are going with no bodyguards, no security whatsoever, just kind of rolling up and kind of having their way with these disenfranchised people. And it's interesting. It's interesting to kind of think about the idea of that. But yeah, so we just talked about the whole idea of like this Illuminati card. But so Vlad Dracul was Prince of Wallachia, I believe is how you pronounce it, Brandon. I had to double check with the grammatical Nazi here. Is that how you pronounce it?
Wallachia.
Wallachia, there you go. So this is where Vlad the Impaler kind of ruled over. There's even this like kind of video game. There's a lot of pop culture references with these guys. So like getting back to that goddess Diana. I don't know if you've seen that Quentin Tarantino movie, Four Rooms. They reference the goddess Diana in that movie. In what was it? Where they cut the lady's throat, Brandon. And they bathe in the blood. It's based off of. I gotta think about it. Dude.
Are you thinking about Hostel with Eli Roth?
Hostel, yes.
Oh yeah,
the
lady
Eli
lays Roth.
Down,
Yeah.
Yeah, she lays down in the bath. She cuts the throat and she bathes in it. She gets all naked, and it's like a super sexual thing with all this blood all over her. And then in this video game here called Wallachia. Reign of Dracula. Okay, so these are like computer games. It's all over the place when you really look into it. So Charles is the Prince of Wales, which took its name from Wallachia. Okay, and getting back to that red dragon idea, if you look at the flag of Wales, it's literally a white background with green grass and a red dragon, dude. So you get the symbolism over and over again. And the most interesting thing that I just like recently found like today was that in 2014, there was a discovery of a new type of dinosaur called a Dracoraptor, and the original fossils are in Wales. So are these the Draco reptilians that like we hear about like sucking the negative energy and all that?
Oh shit.
There's some more symbology even with the coat of arms and the imperial crown. So the coat of arms of the Bathory family, the Elizabeth Bathory that I talked about, they merged up with the Order of the Dragon, and their coat of arms includes a red dragon that's in a circle and it's eating itself. It's actually got its tail in its own mouth, and right above that, in almost all of the versions of it, there's this two-dimensional circle with a line bifurcating that circle. And if you look at the British imperial crown, right on top of it, right from mat to crosse, is a globe shaped shape with a line going right through it. Another little symbolic throwback to the time when they were stuck in blood,
So when you go buy gold, okay, it's pretty cool. I think everybody thinks gold is like a gold bar, but when you go buy it, they're either a like a gold coin, or they'll be like a little thin kind of a bar, like not like a bar you see like in a movie, but a thin kind of bar,
like an ounce.
Yeah, and on them is a ton of dragon imagery, and you're like, this is kind of crazy. Where does the dragon come from? And so much of it is also Rothschilds. Rothschilds have a giant dragon in a lot of their logos and stuff that they do. So it's like when you see that's the first thing you think of is like, oh, this is some Rothschild stuff. And if you look it up, man, sure as shit.
I mean, have you seen the movie Hostile? I know they brought it up. Have you seen that movie?
I think I have.
It's
yes.
like where supposedly these elites pay a lot of money to kill people.
Yeah.
Which sounds like such some Rothschild shit where they would be doing out there.
Well, the guy sounded like a Rothschild, didn't he? As I recall, the guy at the end. I mean, he had that weird.
It's like a whorehouse for like Army Hammer. You know, that's the spot that you hit like on a Saturday night. You know, yeah.
Like you knew something was up with that guy. Like, how does that dude get that far with that name?
Yeah, it's like him and Trevor Bauer just pounding beer somewhere. So.
He plays the Winklevoss twins. I mean, that's shady right there, dude. There's something going on with them too. But Let me inject my other little bit of symbology here. It comes from Christian mystic eschatology here. It's a little bit of a passage from, I think, the most notable verse in Revelation, and it has a whole bunch of the hot topics, the punch words that we've been using here. I'll go through it quick. It says, and this is in Revelation 12, and again, this is some guy, assumedly John, seeing this dream of the end of the world and how it's going to happen. It says, a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head, hinting there to Diana, right? She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. But then another sign appeared in the heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, 7 crowns on its head. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. And the dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. So it goes through a whole bunch.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and then a war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. So Michael inevitably wins, and then it says, when the dragon saw that he had been hurled into the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. So the dragon tried to go after her, but God made the earth open up and swallow this body of water that the dragon came from. And in Romania, right off to the side to the Red Sea, there's literally a lake, a freshwater lake there that used to be connected. It's very, very close to Count Dracula's castle, but it was an outlet river going to the Black Sea. But in 1920, they walled it off, so now it's a freshwater lake. You've got this imagery of a Black Sea and a red dragon in this place, in, like, again, what we've talked about as one of the scariest places in the world for white people. Like, there's got to be some negative energy going on around there, man. There's this place in Romania called the Devil's Steep, or the Devil's Throat, and a whole bunch of the folklore says that in these cliffs, these crazy ass cliffs that you guys can look up on Google Images, a scary looking place. In these cliffs is the portal to the other dimension, to where Michael sent Lucifer after his fight with God, saying, no, you stay down there. So just all hinting at, if something is going to reach out and affect the entire world in a negative way, according to all of these signs, it's going to have to start from Romania, man.
Well, yeah, and like, to be clear, you were saying a red dragon and the Black Sea, correct? Yeah. I mean, that's kind of dark right there, like red and black. Satanic
Isn't that
colors.
Rothschild's colors too? Red and black. It's like something like that. Red and white.
Well, red and white.
Rothschild means red shield, and then I think then it goes back and forth between red and white. But I think based on the rank of their old power structure in the Rothschild family, you would go from black or white. You'd use different colors depending on the rank that you were in.
Well, there's this series of, like, I think it's like either Gnosticism or alchemy, where you go from black to white to yellow to red, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, if you see, like, in movies, you might see that a lot, where like a character is dressed in black and then white and then yellow and red, and it's like the alchemical like transformation, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe Gnosticism or alchemy. But like, with all that kind of stuff that we were getting into, with the vampire stuff tying to Charles specifically, it doesn't necessarily mean that like all these other ones are vampires, but it is kind of interesting that nearly every royal family member suffers from an iron deficiency that's called porphyria. And we all know that iron or I should say that blood is very rich with iron. So if they have this iron deficiency, I mean, like, it makes sense that they would want to drink blood. and get that extra iron
Damn.
because it's interesting that you have a family that is continuously suffering from this porphyria disorder, which is again an iron deficiency. And then back to Vlad the Impaler, he's notorious for dipping bread in his victim's blood and then like just drinking blood. And I mean, this is where we get the idea of adrenochrome. So it's fascinating to me that they have this iron deficiency that, I mean, it's on record. It's not like conspiratorial.
Is that why Prince Andrew can't sweat?
He doesn't sweat?
You haven't heard that? Where he said that he can't sweat? You've never heard that theory where he says he can't sweat?
Have you ever heard this, Johnny?
I do. Oh, well, it was, because he had an interview, right? And he was saying, using it as like an excuse for why he wasn't sweating or whatever. I don't know.
He's a reptilian.
That's what it was. I
mean, part of this, they're all inbred beyond belief. So they're hemophiliacs and, all these other issues. We can't forget that. That's why they're all insane.
They're vampires, Johnny.
Yeah, they're inbred, insane vampires, sure.
Vampires wouldn't sweat. I would say vampires do not sweat if I knew any.
Well, yeah, dude, they age like freaking wine too. I mean, like I said, if you want to check this out, like I said, it's porphyria. It's a very real thing, and supposedly like upwards of 95% of the royal bloodline suffers from this relatively rare iron deficiency. And I find that fascinating. I don't know if he can't physically sweat or he just can't like exert himself. Is that what you're saying, XG?
I don't know. He said this in an interview. I have no idea exactly what he was coming from, but
you know what?
He said he has a. Here it
it
is. If you want it, Prince Andrew said he had, quote, a peculiar medical condition arising from the Falklands War that refutes Virginia Jeffrey's whatever her name is. Claim that he was dripping with sweat when they danced in 2001. He says it wasn't physically possible for him to have been dripping with sweat. So he used that actually to refute her testimony.
This has to do with the picture he got caught with. Remember that picture with the underage girl?
Yeah.
In one of her testimonies, she says he was very sweaty while they were dancing during their meeting.
Like, I don't sweat.
And he's saying he doesn't sweat. That was his whole excuse on why he never fucked her.
Because of his service in the war.
Yeah.
Wow, it's like they're too good to sweat. Go ahead, Brandon. Sorry.
I was just going to point out that it was a defense in the entire Jeffrey Epstein connection that they had in with them. Another connection though, going back to that Revelation 12, the child that is said to have been given birth by this lady who gets chased by the dragon. It's a male child who will, quote, rule all the nations with an iron scepter. There's a whole bunch of symbology that gets like you can make a scepter look like something else in these kinds of like prophetic visions. And I always imagine like a guy that's in a hospital bed who's got like an IV attached to him, just pumping in iron through blood, just through an IV. Like that's what we have to look forward to as a ruler of the world, is what this verse is kind of hinting at,
Well, like what you're saying there, like the Antichrist is supposedly going, like the final Antichrist. There's, according to Nostradamus, who's part of this Merovingian bloodline. There was 3 Antichrists, and the final one is going to stem from the Merovingian bloodline because, like, this is like the extra bloodline out of the royal bloodline. So yeah, I mean, like that makes a ton of sense, dude. But yeah, so getting to the U.S. specifically. Charles is the highest power with the Hells Angels. Like the Windsors founded the Hells Angels biker gang, dude.
Of course they did.
Shit.
And we have no problems with Hells Angels here. We support your cause, whatever you're doing.
Yeah, dude, they're great.
Not only them, any motorcycle club.
It's a symbolism of Americana. It's straight Americana, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though they're all Irish and Scottish descendants, right? I mean, like, hey, there you go. You know what I'm saying? What were you going to say, Sam?
That's crazy, dude. That's
dude,
nuts.
It's freaking nuts when you actually like realize too that the Beatles invited the Hells Angels over. The guitarist for the Beatles, I forget his name.
George Harrison. This story's great. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have much about it, but yeah, dude.
This story's George Harrison tells this story in the anthology documentary, and it's funny. He says, okay, he went out to, I think, in California and San Francisco, met some Hells Angels and was like, yeah, if you're ever in London, pop in. We'll see you at Apple. And then one day, these guys just all showed up at Abbey Road or maybe at Apple Studio, actually, that time, and wanted a place to stay. So they were crashing there for a while. And eventually, George was like, "Oh God, this is terrible." And I think he had Derek Taylor, their publicist, tell him like, "Listen, George said, there was a time for you to come, and now there's the time for you to go." and they all had to clear off. Yeah, he was trying to be real. Yeah, not get his ass kicked. Yeah,
of course, man.
But it was like a disaster.
How do you kick Hell's Angels out? I don't know. I wouldn't. I mean,
I'd be
like, I guess my place is no longer my place anymore. Thank you.
Yeah, you can take Hunter S. Thompson's route and just infiltrate them and talk shit about them. Have some kind of a weird televised fight with them on TV. That's about as best as you're going to go against those guys.
Yeah, dude, it's fascinating. And yeah, Hunter Thompson's an interesting component to all this stuff too. I know you guys were talking about that too with Exertus, but I mean, I find it interesting too. Like the idea here is really that Charles is the most powerful individual person in the world, right? I mean, like,
you think Charles is over Queen Elizabeth?
What's that?
You think Charles is over Queen Elizabeth?
I think so. From what I've looked at, I do think that Charles, because when do you hear about Charles, dude? He was, Princess Diana married Charles. She wasn't about that life. I know we're running long here, but I wanted to get into Diana before we wrap up. She got involved with Charles by marriage, and it was one of the most high profile deaths of all time, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it was really kind of out of pocket. It was really out of character for what the status quo was with all this. You know what I mean? It was interesting. So yeah, I do think that Charles is the one that is actually like kind of telling the Queen what to do, the one that's in charge, just because of his bloodline to one of the most like brutal individuals of all time. You know what I mean?
You think it'd be Queen Elizabeth for how old she is?
Like, no, because I think
she's like Biden.
I
feel like she's just a puppet now.
Well, yeah, like I said, like she's on this quest, dude, to try to become pure and feminine. Like I said, owning the freaking dolphins, the swans, trying to do all of this really weird, trying to. It's almost like alchemy. I think, like, I don't know much about alchemy, but she's trying to like turn herself into something that she really isn't at all. And I just find that kind of interesting. But like Charles is just kind of like walking through life like he really doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like,
he's super quiet. Whenever you come off as like a wimp or a dork, you're usually a super egotistical asshole. Like I mean,
the Bushes.
Like, you remember when supposedly George Bush couldn't get elected the second time because everybody thought he was a wimp.
Yeah.
And you're like, that guy's one of the most cold-blooded, cutthroat motherfuckers.
Even if you just take the official record. I mean, he was a pilot who got shot down. If you believe that, I mean, he was a soldier.
Which I don't.
I don't either. But I mean, and at worst, we know what he is. He's a spook. I mean, the worst kind.
I mean, look at Ellen. She's like, oh, Ellen's so lovable. Turned out she's
exactly,
a complete cunt.
And if you have like the full filter on like what's going on in the studio, there's like screams going on backstage. But yeah, no, I mean, it's, with Trump, he was so brash and so like cutthroat, but supposedly behind the scenes, he's a total wimp. Like, I don't know, but just to be like these people put on this face that they don't truly have in their own personal life. So I find that interesting.
Well, I've always said this about comedians. It's like, not all clean comics are assholes, but most asshole comics were clean. And then like the nicest comics are usually the biggest assholes on stage. Like, they're just dark, dirty. And then they get off stage, they're the nicest people. So I find that the people who are more themselves are the nicest people, and the ones who make business decisions and sell a product that really isn't themselves are the real awful people.
Yeah, Bill Cosby.
100%.
That's the main one. Yeah.
And like Sam Tripoli, dude. Sam's an asshole on stage, but he's a nice guy, right?
I mean, were you at the Ha-Ha last night?
What's that?
I just bombed at this club last night so spectacularly. And then I get off stage, like people are taking pictures with me. Some guy in a wheelchair is like, I love you. I'm like, I don't, this is the most bizarre world I've ever lived in. You're bombing and taking pictures after, but this is my life. I totally believe that there is a group of people, we can get into Pindar, whether Pindar really exists. I mean, that's some very deep stuff, but it is of my belief that, the real power structures aren't anywhere that you really know about. Like a lot of people want to say the Vatican. A lot of people want to say, City of London, Washington, D.C. Like these to me are just like fronts. Like the real power is in places you don't even know. In particular, I just believe Antarctica. Some shit's going on in Antarctica that we don't even know about. That is way deeper than anybody even understands. And, that's where the real power is. I mean, the Vatican, I think, is a front for black nobility. And the Vatican
It's a
owns
Jesuit organization.
a giant chunk of Israel. They own a big part of Israel. And nobody ever talks about that.
Yeah. Well, in Antarctica, dude, there's a little, I don't know if you'd call it a district or what, but it's called Rothschild, right? I mean, there's an area there called Rothschild. So, I mean, that's kind of interesting too, but I want to wrap up here, dude, because I know we're keeping you guys longer than you guys are normally
We're lonely
recording.
people.
What's that?
We're lonely people.
Oh, well, hey, I can talk as long as you guys want, dude. I got dirt on these assholes for days, dude. So let's get into Queen Elizabeth then, okay? So her name comes from this Elizabeth Bathory, the lady that Brandon brought up that, cuts throats and bathes in virgin blood and innocent people's blood and all this stuff. But she was known as this blood countess, and she bathed in, I mean, like, it was disgusting, dude. Like, if you could like actually picture what was going on, it's pretty intense. And the House of Windsor run the Order of the Bath, which takes its name from this Bathory family. Okay. They use red capes. Like if you watch their ceremonies, you see all these red capes, a lot of red, a lot of purple. And the red is to pay homage to this Transylvanian nobility that secretly moved over to Scotland. And, when Brandon and I started Dangerous World, one of the early episodes was about the Bean Clan. I don't know if you guys have heard about these, but like this is the original Hills Have Eyes. Like these people, this inbred family lived in this cave and they would storm, people on their honeymoons and people just, kind of trying to live carefree out on the coast and run around. But this inbred family would go in and they would ravage people. Do you remember that stuff, Brandon? It was insane.
Like doing the thing that you see in the movie The Hills Have Eyes. They're like pulling them into holes that they lived in because they were already thrown out of regular society, and as a result they were like deformed, had a particular stench to them, the folklore even says.
And what up? And this is in Romania,
Scotland. These the Transylvanian nobility covertly settled in Scotland after they had lost their power. So they moved over to Scotland. And I'm not saying that the Bean clan is specifically related to the Transylvanian or the Romanian nobility, but they were absolutely tied in some way, in my opinion, that because there's movies made after these people. And I don't know why they didn't just use the original idea, because to me, like, medieval Scotland is much more scary than modern day New Mexico.
Nevada, yeah.
Is it Nevada or New Mexico?
One of those places.
I think it was
same shit.
Yeah. But you got to remember that Romania is like a forgotten tail end of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire grew up to be the English Empire. So these families can just normally you can't, especially back then, you can't just up and bring operation across an entire continent like the like Vlad's family might have been able to do. So they migrate from Romania to Scotland, where they're still able to do their dirty work under the guise of the Queen here.
It is when you got money, you could do whatever the hell you want. They got all the gold; they can go anywhere and just set up shop, and people are gonna follow, and that's what it is. And now now it's not gold. Now it's fiat money that's made during the fractional reserve banking system that isn't even real money, and they're bribing and they're buying everything with fake money. It is unbelievable to watch. Part of me thinks that's part of this luge stuff. They're stealing, they're buying up all the houses, buying up all the farmland. I think it's very lushy, but if it is true, that's all being done with fake, newly printed money.
For sure, dude. I mean, it's all fiat currency, like you said. It's all BS. But I mean, like, with the royals, do they have this harp on their coat of arms? And it, like, the harp, the symbolize, what the harp is, it sort of is a representation of like the bewitching of minds. It's sort of like mind control, think MK Ultra type stuff. And supposedly the House of Windsor owns HARP, like the high frequency active auroral research program, like that whole thing that supposedly controls the weather.
Of course
right?
they do.
Well, yeah, dude, but like the idea here is that it's not for weather control, it's for mind control. And just like the idea that the harp symbolizes mind control, harp actually symbolizes mind control too. They also own Skull and Bones. I mean, supposedly Charles is heavily infiltrated or founded Skull and Bones, and George Herbert Walker Bush is actually a British knight, or he was before he died. And I think that it's reasonable to think that him, his son, Obama, everyone that's directly related to the Bushes are also British knights too. And if you think about it, I'm sure Clinton was, I'm sure, like when you get into all that stuff, it's just fascinating, dude, how much these people tie together. But I mean, dude, we saved the best for last, man. I want to get into Diana here, dude, because
okay, let's do that. Let's rock that.
Yeah, dude. So supposedly Diana wanted to expose the royal family for all the rituals and these blood sacrifices. So I'm going to have Brandon read something here. That is an account of Arizona Wilder, who was a friend of Princess Diana, very knowledgeable about the esoteric, but supposedly Diana called the royal family lizards and reptiles. Like she like what a lot of us would say, like they're just cold-blooded. But she would actually refer to them by to her friend Arizona Wilder, just saying like, yeah, these lizards are acting crazy. So that might be where we get the term today, as lizard people and all this stuff. But yeah, dude, Brandon, if you don't mind, dude, read these accounts of the Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth, and then also Charles, where supposedly Diana was, when she was about to marry Charles, she was hypnotized and heavily pumped full of drugs, where she was meant to think she was hallucinating, but she was actually seeing the royals shapeshift into reptilian, like Draco raptors. It's fascinating, dude.
This is Arizona Wilder saying that based on accounts from Diana, she said this. She got this impression of these characters. So about the Queen, she says, I have seen her sacrifice people and eat their flesh and drink their blood. One time she got so excited with bloodlust that she didn't cut the victim's throat from left to right in the normal ritual way. She just went crazy, stabbing and ripping at the flesh after she'd shapeshifted into a reptilian. When she shapeshifts, she has a long reptile face, almost like a beak, and she's an off-white color. The Queen Mother looks basically the same, but there are differences. About the Queen Mother, which is, I think, a person aside from Queen Elizabeth, right, Ryan? Like,
the Queen Mother is the Queen's actual mother. Yeah.
So about her, she says she's cold, a nasty person. None of her cohorts even trusted her. They have named an altar, which is a mind control program, after her. They called it the Black Queen. I have seen her sacrifice people. I remember her pushing a knife into someone's rectum the night that two boys were sacrificed. One was 13 and the other was 18. About Prince Charles, she says this: I have seen him shapeshift into a reptilian and do all the things that the Queen does. I have seen him sacrifice children. There's a lot of rivalry between them for who gets to eat what part of the body and who gets to absorb the victim's last breath and steal their soul. And I've also seen Andrew participate, and I have seen Prince Philip and Charles's sister Anne at the rituals, but they didn't participate when I was there. And when Andrew shapeshifts, he looks like more like one of those lizards. The royals are some of the worst. Some of the worst as far as enjoying the killing, enjoying the sacrifice, and eating the flesh. They're some of the worst of all of them.
Oh
yeah, dude.
God.
It's crazy to think about, man. And like when you think about like William being born on the summer solstice, supposedly Diana was impregnated by Pindar. It's just a weird story, if that's what you want to call it. But I mean, I find this stuff pretty interesting, dude.
How do you watch MSNBC after this? Right, how do you watch Fox News after this?
Yeah. When you marry into the royal family as Diana did, and as Meghan Markle did now, do you participate in these things as a human? You know what I mean? Who I assume cannot shapeshift.
Yeah.
So well, Wilder here is actually pointing out that there are particular people who are at the ritual, but that she hadn't seen it happen to. So Prince Philip and Charles's sister Anne, they're there, they're attending the Eyes Wide Shut party. Who knows if they're just wearing one of the masks watching or if they need to be part of it. I don't know how this spiritual bullshit works either. I don't know how to sacrifice people
from the
correctly.
accounts. These don't sound like intimate things. It sounds like it is more of an Eyes Wide Shut situation where there are large groups of people.
I'm picturing like a main event at a UFC fucking fight where everyone's just watching them two in the middle eat the fucking person alive type of shit.
Well, dude, that's what Eyes Wide Shut is. XG, have you seen that movie?
No.
You'd love it, dude. It's fascinating. It's with Tom Cruise too. So I mean, check that movie out, dude.
Yeah,
it's all about secret societies. It's exactly. There's a bunch of chicks wearing masks that are all naked, and this dude goes around and blesses them, speaking Latin backwards, and basically blesses all these chicks, and then they just do a fuck fest. It's crazy.
It's based off of a real meeting, a real type of meeting that one of the founding families of the Illuminati were a part of. I can't remember if it was the Rothschilds or not, but they had these kinds of parties, and Stanley Kubrick based it off of those meetings, apparently.
And he died like a week later.
Last film he made. Yeah, it took him 8 years to make the damn movie, as I recall.
And his daughter's been on Alex Jones's show, dude. That's freaking weird to me too. Yeah.
What's your take on Alex Jones?
I'm a fan. I'm actually wearing an Alex Jones shirt, dude. It says "Free American." But I do think that for him to be able to get away with what he's doing, he's got to be controlled opposition to a sense.
Unbelievable, dude. Crazy ass show, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm sorry I've been hopped up on coffee, so I know I cut you guys off 100,000 times, so my apologies.
No, dude. I mean, I had a blast, man. I really appreciate the opportunity just to get on and talk with you three. And I would appreciate it if you guys would give a Dangerous World podcast a follow on IG, dude. I follow you guys, so
let's do it. I'll follow it. Hey, but Alex Jones is doing the right thing now. Everything's funny or comedic to him. He goes on Andrew Schultz thing and he'll get a bottle. He's like, I'm drinking adrenochrome and all this thing. So now he's pushing it as in like anything's funny. So then nothing's believable.
Where do you think that started?
Yeah.
He came on our podcast. Now he's doing all these. I mean, I know he did Rogan first, so I'm not saying that, but I see it, dude, and I'm happy for him. And I know he gets a lot of shit. I know he has a blind spot for Israel. Nobody's perfect, I mean, like, who bats 1,000 in life?
Even he says, I'm gonna tell you, I'm a little retarded. Right? He's real about it himself, right?
I think that's where I went.
I can say that word, by the way, because some of my best friends are retarded. So
yeah, well, I can say it because I'm retarded, and I said that last night on stage, and the room just iced me, and all the young cops are like, "Because you said retarded." I go, "I'm gonna keep saying retarded."
That's not an LA word to say, dude. You could say that out on our tours, but not on there.
Why?
I don't know, dude.
Because they're all retarded.
Yeah,
that's why.
Fuck.
Yeah, fuck them.
It seems like in comedy, to be like the most successful, you have to be unfunny. Like the most highly paid comics are not funny, dude, at all. Like I've watched Netflix specials of people that are just I haven't laughed one time, dude. You know what I mean? So like I think that dude, just keep doing what you're doing, man. You have a serious like a support base and you're killing it, dude. Don't worry about that.
Hold on one second.
Trying to please the masses, dude.
I want you to hear something. Johnny, I sent you a video. Can you play this video? So we're going to end it on this real quick.
Let's do it.
Johnny can find this video. It's from Terrence McKenna.
Okay.
And
I
think
it from a different number. Huh?
It's my it's my social media phone. I want you guys to hear this. Can you do this, Johnny?
Yeah.
It's very important. I've been going through some shit in my life right now, and it's just like it's kind of chaotic. So I have to protect my loosh. like you protect your neck.
Yeah, dude.
And it's very important. So I want to play this video because it kind of fits into what you were talking about, Ryan. And I think it's very important that everybody hears this stuff. And you could even apply this, honestly, to this show if you want. Because I need everybody to, like, realize what's going on out there. And this video, it's again, from Terrence McKenna. I put it on Instagram. But I think it's very important that people hear this. Because this is what's going on right now in this world. And I can't express enough how important it is to turn off the news. I mean, like, the only reason I watch sports is because it was such a big part of my life. But the NBA has fucked itself. And can you do it, Johnny?
Yeah, but just a second. I'll tell you.
So the NBA has really effed itself. But that was the last of the fun that is on television now for me. And outside of Adult Swim.
What do you think about the NFL's new slogan, which is "Football is gay"? You like that?
It is.
They're gonna
real
fuck.
gay.
It's gay as shit, but it's gonna fuck itself, man. They're gonna fuck themselves, and it's like
it's so weird.
People,
dude.
what you're doing is you're trying to play chicken with people, and what you're saying is try not to watch us. And guess what? They're gonna learn. People aren't gonna watch you. And football is the last of it because the way it's played, which is mostly on Sundays. It's something for people to watch, but you're doing games every day. You're gonna water down your product, and then you're gonna get it so people give people reason not to watch, which is to bring your bullshit politics into stuff. Okay, and it's like imagine going to a restaurant where every time the waiter comes to your house, you get a lecture on politics. Would you keep going to that restaurant? The answer is no. So you got to get out of your fucking way. Okay?
You know it'd be great if you started talking over the Clippers game.
What do you mean?
Like what Rogan did,
commentating.
like a fight companion, but instead of you just talk over the Clippers game, just you.
That's very funny. That's actually great.
Like mystery science theater.
Yeah,
for a Clippers game.
Because that's what I need is another show. So here we go. This is called Reclaim Your Mind, and it's by Terrence McKenna. It was sent to me by John Paul Rice. I want to end the show on this. I love you all very much. I hope to see you in Alaska, and I hope to see you in
San
Diego, Dallas, and Oklahoma. And one last time, I want to thank Ryan Dean and Brandon Peacock from the Dangerous World podcast for coming on, and give them a follow. The links will be in the description. So please give them a follow because obviously they're super interesting, and I think they came on, kicked a whole lot of ass today. So thank you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy this.
Term, which just simply means we have to stop consuming our culture. We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR. Create your own road show. The nexus of space and time where you are now is the most immediate sector of your universe. And if you're worrying about Michael Jackson or Bill Clinton or somebody else, then you are disempowered. You're giving it all away to icons which are maintained by an electronic media, so that you want to dress like X or have lips like Y or something. This is shit-brained, this kind of thinking. That is all cultural diversion. And what is real is you and your friends and your associations, your highs, your orgasms, your hopes, your plans, your fears. And we're told, no, we're unimportant, we're peripheral, get a degree, get a job, get a this, get a that, and then you're a player. You don't even want to play in that game. You want to reclaim your mind and get it out of the hands of the cultural engineers who want to turn you into a half-baked moron consuming all this trash that's being manufactured out of the bones of a dying world. Where is that at?
We love you guys.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Tinfoil hat.